Space Report's kind of a Bible for the space industry, and in many ways, it aggregates all that open source data into one place that you can't find anywhere else. It tells you a little bit about what happened in the past year in the space environment, but it also gives you a view into the future, what's going to happen this year and the next 3 to 5 years, and maybe even a little further out. Gives you some trend information and data that's hard to find anywhere else. And because of that, it becomes an invaluable resource. While it doesn't always include a forecast, there's enough trend information in there to help you understand where the industry is going, what the hot buttons in the industry are, what the hot topics and issues in the industry are, which then enables you to really begin to benchmark and track where the industry has been and where it's going. Nothing else does that. You're going to find more data about more countries that are getting involved in space, greater fidelity in that data than we've had before. You're going to find some data about some of the new entrepreneurial startups and the programs that are beginning to happen in 2010, not just money and planning, but start to see some launches and greater development in those systems. There will be additional work on space science in there and what's coming down the road in space science, as well as for the first time we are covering military space and the workforce that's involved in the military space, because we've not previously counted that before in our workforce numbers. But what we're trying to do is statistically capture that, because it's all part of the greater global space snapshot in terms of employees and workforce. And then we'll watch it grow too, because it is growing as a military source and its applications within the military, and how we help warfighters by using space systems to deliver more information to them in real time or near real time. So it's another component of the space workforce that we felt was important to characterize and capture. The Space Report continues to be used in more numerous ways than we ever imagined. One of the best ways we've learned in the last year is use by Congress. It's been referred to in testimony not only by me, but also by some of the senators and congressmen and women in their own subcommittee hearings. So they've become champions of the Space Report. They use it in meetings that they have. It's been recognized in some of the preparatory documents that they use for the subcommittee members. So we begin to see that it's becoming the tool we had hoped it would be, which is providing credible, accurate data and information that can then be used to make good decisions by policymakers and leaders throughout the country. We're also seeing it covered in media worldwide. We've seen it in Jane's overseas. We've seen it in the Financial Times of London. We've seen it in Newsweek, several other newspapers around the United States and the world. We also are finding more longer-term uses where it's being used by researchers around the globe in several different countries. We're also seeing longer-term uses for it where academicians are using it for some of their longer-term research and studies in more than 20 countries around the world. So it's really becoming a growing, living document that changes from year to year, but still captures important benchmarks that have never been captured before, and that are useful as we lay that baseline and track the growth and development of the space industry like it's never been done before. If it comes to financial statistics, it's all there, how the different subcomponents of the space industry break down, what the trends are. Is it growing? Is it not growing in terms of satellite manufacturing, a number of launches per year, et cetera, et cetera. Lots of detail on the infrastructure in space, both the infrastructure that's here on the ground and the infrastructure that's in space being utilized and applied every day. It really is a labor of love. We start planning for it pretty much as we're working on the current year's issue. So there's a lot that goes into it in terms of the planning, and you've got to have a strong team, and fortunately we do, on both the data collection and analysis end, to the writers and the editing of it, to the people who also work on the design and layout of it, because you've got to present that material in a straightforward, simple way that helps a reader understand what space is, what it contains, what it's all about, how it's growing, how it's changing, because it's changing all the time. It's evolved from a publication that began in 2006 covering 2005 data to what will now be 2009 data. So this first year we actually will have a 5-year perspective on what's going on in the space environment. The space reports for anybody. We work very hard at making the writing and the information we present interesting to a space industry worker, the engineers and scientists that are a large part of our industry. We also work very hard at making it, an easy read for people who are interested in space, who study and follow space but aren't really all that knowledgeable on a weekly, monthly, annual basis as to what's going on. So those who have an avocation for it or an outside interest, it's written largely to help them understand the total activity of what's going on around the world in space.